Hey, what's going on guys, and welcome back to another Fallout 4 modding video. Today we've got a very special new weapon pack, but before we get into that, I have a couple pieces of business I'd like to talk about first. You'll notice some pretty big gaps in the upload schedule as of late. The one for last week was because I was on vacation, but this time around I actually got really sick, and I'm still kind of getting over that, but I really wanted to do today's video, so I'm kind of just working through it to get this out for you guys. Additionally, I want to mention that there will be a slight delay on the Next Mods Weekly. The Next Mods Weekly, as you may know, is episode 100, so I wanted to give it some more time to get even more mods packed into one really awesome video to make sure you guys get the best possible content out of that video. Additionally, it's been a long time coming, but I'm also working on the 50,000 subscriber special, so thanks again to you guys for helping me get this far, and I'll have a new video for that coming very soon, one that you guys have been requesting for quite a while. Now then, let's actually talk about today's video, and that is the PBW Service Pack by Alexerator. This mod is going to add the Service Rifle, the Assault Carbine, and the Marksman Carbine back into Fallout 4. All of these classic weapons were featured in Fallout New Vegas and have since been remade by Alexerator for this pack. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, we already have mods for this out on the Nexus. Well, this one is just a bit different. As Alexerator puts it, they are trying to be a little bit more faithful to the classic games and make them seem more like their New Vegas counterparts. Now, before we begin, I do want to say that I'm going to go into this as unbiased as possible. Alexerator is a friend of the Discord, but there are some quirks and issues with this mod that I think need to be talked about before you decide to download it. Let's go ahead and get started with the basic details. This mod is going to add 3 new base weapons into the game. Again, the Service Rifle, Assault Carbine, and the Marksman Carbine, but additionally there are also 2 uniques that are hidden around the Commonwealth. These weapons do not feature any custom animations. They actually use the base Nuka World AK animations, which means Nuka World is going to be a requirement for this mod. While it does not feature custom animations, there is an optional file that will allow you to use right-handed animations that will make some edits to the receiver to help reflect those. So this weapon can be used with the base left-handed animations or the custom Hitman right-handed animations if you so choose those. Just make sure you grab the optional file or it's going to look a little bit wonky. If you want to get your hands on these weapons, there are actually different requirements for each weapon, so let's go ahead and go over those now, starting off with the Service Rifle, which will start spawning out in the world on the leveled list after level 20. You can find it on Raiders, Gunners, Brotherhood of Steel Scribes, specifically, Minutemen, and of course you can purchase it from vendors or find it on legendary enemies. As for the Assault Carbine, this one is also added to the level list and will start spawning after level 20 as well on Raiders, Gunners, Brotherhood of Steel Soldiers, Minutemen, and of course you can purchase it or find it on legendaries. Then for the Marksman Carbine, this one is actually different as there is only one Marksman Carbine in the entire Commonwealth. So this one is kind of treated like a unique, but it's not a legendary at all. It's just a one-of-a-kind option, and you can find it in a trash can. A very specific trash can over at the South Boston Military Checkpoint. Apparently Alexerator doesn't like this gun. One more thing before we get into some of the more specific features of this mod, this thing is going to require munitions. Now this is one of those quirks that I don't really understand. I don't see why munitions is a base requirement, as it only affects one of the unique legendary variants and adds BBs as an ammo type. Considering this is a weapon pack where all 3 weapons use 5.56 or 5mm, which are vanilla ammo types, having munitions as a hard requirement just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And you know that I do shill munitions, but maybe an optional file makes a little bit more sense for this, as I feel like it's going to alienate a lot of users. But that's just me. It's up to you guys whether or not you think that is a bit too much for this mod. But if you're already using munitions, it shouldn't really be an issue. It'll just work right along with that. Now then, let's get into some of the finer details, starting off with the stats for each of these weapons. Here we have the Service Rifle with a base damage of 32 using 5.56 as its ammunition. It has a fire rate of 40 and is only available in semi-automatic. Has a range of 119, an accuracy of 72, a weight of 13.6 pounds, and a value of 118 caps. And while we're here, we're going to talk about one of my other minor nitpicks. Now, I understand things like the placement of the charging handle to fit vanilla animations, but one of my personal issues with this weapon is some very weird proportions on the receiver. You'll notice this extended piece here by the trigger and the magwell that just doesn't exist on any real-world AR-15 or even the New Vegas style of service rifle. For someone who's going for a New Vegas representative weapon, This is a bit odd to me. I understand needing to make tweaks for animations, but I feel like maybe a 10% stretch on this piece here, moving these a little bit forward, you could have come up with a more realistic silhouette, or at least one that's more akin to the New Vegas service rifle. This just looks odd to me, but, you know, maybe that's just me being a little bit picky. Now, moving on to the Assault Carbine, this thing does have some very different stats with a base damage of 15, using 5mm just like it did in New Vegas, though there is a 5.56 conversion, has a fire rate of 109, and is only available in fully automatic, allowing these two weapons to be very different from each other, has a range of 119, an accuracy of 71, a weight of 13.6 pounds, and a value of 146 caps, and this one, much like the service rifle, also has that weird little extended section of the receiver. And for the final base weapon in this mod, we have the Marksman Carbine, which has a damage of 60, which is higher than any of the modified service rifles. It uses 5.56 as its ammunition, has a fire rate of 40, a range of 179, an accuracy of 88, a weight of a whopping 15.2 pounds, and a value of 1,061 caps, as this weapon is one of a kind. Now, much like some other one-of-a-kind weapons, this thing is actually not modifiable over at the weapons workbench. It comes as is, so luckily it has some pretty decent stats, but you aren't going to be able to change out any of the parts on this thing, which, to be honest, is a little bit disappointing to me. Now, spoiler warning, we're going to be talking about the uniques included in this mod, starting off with Guaranteed Delivery, an interesting unique conversion for the service rifle that is going to rechamber it from 5.56 to 44, giving you an increase to damage, giving you a damage of 70, and much like the Marksman Carbine, it is not modifiable at the weapons workbench. However, you are going to get a legendary effect, which is going to allow you to ignore 30% of the target's damage and energy resistance, so you are going to get some armor penetration with this thing, which is why it's called Guaranteed Delivery. If you want to get your hands on this thing, it's actually really easy to find. It's in the very first room whenever you enter the combat zone just near Diamond City. Simply head inside and you'll find this thing pretty quick. Now, the next unique in this mod is one I don't really understand, and that is the Abilene Kid BBLE GI Fantasy Rifle, essentially an airsoft gun version of the service rifle. It has a damage of 3, uses the BBs from munitions, and it's going to allow you to get some critical shot multipliers. It's going to do double damage with critical shots, and the critical meter will fill 15% faster. But when your base damage is only 3, that doesn't mean a whole lot. I don't see an actual purpose for this thing, but it's cool if you want it, I guess. Now, when it comes to obtaining the Abilene Kid BB gun, you actually need to head over to the Walden Pond gift shop, and this one is a little bit different. When you head inside, you'll actually find it boxed up as a toy. Simply take this box, and you're going to need to head over to your nearest chemistry station to actually convert this thing into a weapon. Now then, let's talk animations for this thing. It does use the vanilla Nuka World AK animations, but I figure you guys would at least like to see them. The animations are shared between each of the weapon variants, so we'll only be checking it out on the service rifle. So, first of all, let's check it out in hipfire. And there are some very minor issues. It was pretty fast, so I don't know if you saw them there, but there is some minor clipping on the magwell, and additionally the charging handle comes back just a bit too far and starts to clip into the receiver. But it is so fast and so small that you probably won't even notice it. Additionally, here's a look at the iron sights and how that looks when you're firing this thing as well. You'll notice that the front post does move up quite a bit, but that's just sort of a limitation of the handmade auto rifle animations. That's just kind of what it is. When this thing is in full auto on the Assault Carbine, though, it actually looks much, much better. Now then, let's quickly talk accuracy for this weapon. I have no doubt this weapon will hit every single target, so it's checking out close range, medium range, and long range. This weapon has very usable iron sights and has no problems hitting targets at relatively any range, and if you need to get even further, you can equip some scopes for this thing over at the weapons workbench. Now then, we of course need to check out all of the attachments for these weapons. Starting off with the service rifle, let's check out the receivers. We have standard up through exceptional, which are going to be your standard damage upgrades, and then we also have a 308 rechamber for a heavier sort of marksman rifle. Then for barrels, we have standard, short, and long. This is only going to affect the visuals on the barrel itself. The handguard can be changed with the stocks, which we will see in the stock section, where we have the standard stock, the stripped stock for more of a makeshift look, the weighted stock, which is a design I actually really like a lot, the range stock, the light stock, the shielded stock, which is another design I really like, and finally the sniper stock. Then for magazines, we have the standard mag, an extended mag, the standard quick eject, and the extended quick eject. And you'll see that the extended mags have that assault carbine look from New Vegas with the really exaggerated curve. Then for sights, we have the standard iron sights, a reflex sight, a laser sight, which as you can see is kind of floating here. It looks a lot better on some of the other stock options, but it is quite an interesting design. We have the short scope, medium scope, and long scope, the short night vision scope, medium night vision scope, and long night vision scope, and then of course a short and long recon scope, each of which has their own cool unique model. And then finally with the muzzle section, we have no muzzle, a compensator, a muzzle brake, and a suppressor. And now then for the assault carbine, we have a lot of similar options, but some have some very unique aesthetics, and there's even some cool little quirky attachments in here as well. Starting off with the receiver section, we have standard up through exceptional, just like before, giving you that basic damage increase, but we also have a 5.56 rechamber for a more common ammo type and a higher damage. We also have the barrel section standard, short, and long, just like before. As for the stocks, we have some similar stocks, but also some new ones with some very different aesthetics. We have the standard stock, the strip stock like before, except this time with a Pringles can for the handguard. We have a weighted stock, a gunner stock, which offers some sort of Chinese AK looking parts. Pretty interesting design here. A light stock, an infantry stock, and an LMG stock. Sort of a M60 New Vegas LMG Bozar hybrid for the foregrip here. Pretty interesting. We also have some magazine options with the standard and extended mag, with some quick eject versions for both, and additionally a box magazine. Since this one is full auto, having a box mag is a pretty nice addition. We also have the sight section where we have standard, reflex, and the laser sight, this time with a sort of different model for the laser sight, as well as the short through long scopes, as well as night vision and recon versions for each of those, same as the service rifle. And finally, we have the muzzle section where we have no muzzle, a compensator, muzzle brake, and of course, a suppressor. And now then, as usual, we do need to do a damage test, checking out how this weapon performs in combat. We'll use a basic unmodified version in semi-automatic as well as an unmodified version in fully automatic, and then test out both of them fully upgraded with the highest possible damage in this mod to see how it actually performs in-game. So, let's start off with the basic version of the semi-automatic service rifle and see how it does on a Deathclaw. One magazine in, the Deathclaw is nearly dead. And in a total of 29 shots, not too bad for the Deathclaw. You could definitely shoot those a lot faster, but I wanted to try to really hit that Deathclaw's weak spot. Let's see how this thing does in full auto. Much less damage, but much higher fire rate, so this will be a faster time to kill. Or at least it should be. And somewhere in the realm of 75-ish shots, that Deathclaw is finally down. Definitely more bullets, and arguably a faster time to kill. It really just depends on how accurate you are with the service rifle. Now let's see how they do when they're fully upgraded. For the fully upgraded service rifle, we will be using the guaranteed delivery as it does boast the highest possible damage in semi-automatic in this mod. So let's see how it does. And that Deathclaw goes down in only 8 shots. This is using 44 rounds and is not too shabby, to be honest. This is a pretty cool 44 alternative for the base game. Now then, let's see how we do with a fully upgraded, fully automatic assault carbine. And that Deathclaw goes down in roughly 23 shots. Not too bad. We even have the box mag to make sure we don't have to reload there. And it puts down the Deathclaw no sweat, so it's definitely worth going for those upgrades. All of these tests were done without perks as well, so if you were to invest in perks, you could pretty much double the damage of each of these. So that's pretty dang cool. This is definitely a very usable weapon. So yeah, that is the PBW Service Pack by Alexerator, offering a lot of nice options for the service rifle. Definitely a cool one if you're a fan of New Vegas and you're looking for a nice pack to add a lot of weapons to your game. Now, there are some things to say about it. First of all, this thing is huge, coming in at nearly 500 megabytes. There's so many options, which is always nice, but that's a lot of textures and thus a lot of data. So this is a pretty big file. I'm curious to see if it comes to Xbox at all, and if it does, how big the file size is going to be. Additionally, there are also other service rifle alternatives out there. There's Wasteland Melody's service rifle, as well as the SREP pack, and of course Deadpool. So it's really up to you which one is your favorite, and offers all of the different versions that you want. So it's entirely up to you. This is meant to be an unbiased showcase to show you everything in this mod, and you can make your decision from there. With that, if you do want to try it, it will be linked down in the description below as always. While you're down there, consider dropping a rating if you enjoyed the video. It really helps out the channel, and consider subscribing if you haven't already for more videos just like this. As always, a big shout out to all of my patrons, and a very special thank you to Captain Chaos, Freedom, Glasma, Helljumper, Indecisive Wolf, Kid Hades, Cushy, Logan Rigmaiden, Madly Matt, Microhan, Moonlit Gamer, Oscar, Scott, Sterling, Steven, Timmy76, Youth RC, and Voider for joining that Tier 3 Patreon membership. If you'd like to support the channel over on Patreon, you can do so using the link down in the description, but it is completely optional. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Peace!